Viva Las Vegas, baby!
Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
I got my Vegas hat on. It has been a few hours since the race. Let's have a debrief, discussion, a exploration, if you will, of this race. Um, so that a lot happened and a lot didn't happen at the same time. Somehow Mercedes had a phenomenal car just for this race. We don't know why that is, but George Russell, congratulations, George Russell, Georgina Russell. I know Joe is very happy about that. Um, so good for George, Georgina Russell. Um, Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton, ex DNA.
Beaver. What is that?
Honestly, phenomenal drive from him. He started P10, he came to P2.
Close that gap as much as you can. It's hammer time.
Could he have gotten P1? Yes, but it would have been difficult, considering he started really far back and then he had to really fight his way to the front. But good, amazing, amazing drive from Hamilton. Still, still showing and proving to everyone that I got that dog in me still. I don't have the shelf life, as Total Wolf claimed that he did. And he kicked ass, as he should. So happy for Lewis. Carlos got P3. Now, if you have not been on this channel for long, you know I am a Carlos Sainz fan, fanatic, and I will defend him till the day that he leaves Formula One, and even afterwards. Because some people on TikTok are crazy. They're like, "Oh, he like." We'll get to that, but anywho, um, he came P3. That was your top three. George Russell P1, Lewis P2, Carlos Sainz P3. Leclerc was P4, Max Verstappen was P5. Max Verstappen obviously got crowned the driver's champion of this year. No amount of points could take that away from him now, which I'm actually happy that moves a lot of the stress that Lando Norris was going through, particularly from the media. He was done with it. I mean, the media is very annoying nowadays, but he was done with everyone asking him the championship fight, championship fight. They were not ready for a championship fight this year. I think they will be next year, and I think McLaren is going to be a team you have to look out for next year. Same with Ferrari, same with Mercedes, if they can continue this momentum. But yeah, Max Verstappen is our four-time world champion. We saw it coming. Yes. Was I feeling a little upset? Yes, but we knew it was going to happen. It was only a matter of when. But I'm glad it's over. I mean, Norris seems like he's stress free. He's relaxed. He's not as stressed or like, oh, as he was before. So that's good for him. I think the only thing that McLaren needs to focus on is the Constructors' Cup because Ferrari is only 20 points behind, which is absolutely insane to see, especially with these last three races. They've been on fire. So, McLaren definitely has to like kick it up a notch. Speaking of McLaren, they came P6 and P7, which so much for papaya rules because they were both struggling on this lap. At least Lando Norris was able to steal the fastest lap, which was a point that Hamilton. First of all, Hamilton had like 6 or 7 fastest laps. It was between him and Leclerc, and then near the end of the race, I think 1 lap to go, Norris pitted, changed to softs, and just took it, which obviously makes sense. But I think they're doing this obviously for the Constructors' Cup because it's a 24-point difference. It would have been 23 had he not taken it. So, again, is this going to be extremely beneficial? We'll just have to wait and see. But, it is what it is. But Hulkenberg came P8. Again, this is nothing new for Haas. Hulkenberg has always been very consistent, coming into the top 10, which is great, but it's going to be sad to see him go into Sauber next year. Yuki Tsunoda finally has broken his unlucky streak and got points for Visa Cash App. They have now jumped up to 6th position. They're now, I think they're tied with Haas right now. So the next 2 races is going to be very important between Haas and Red Bull Visa Cash App. Especially, I think they are like I think they have the same amount of points. All right, we got a bunch of stuff. F1. Uh, Actually, no. A Red Bull Visa Cash App is now. I was incorrect. There are three. Okay, so Haas, Renault, well, Alpine, and Red Bull Visa Cash App are right next to each other. Haas has 50, Alpine has 49, and Red Bull Visa Cash App has 46. Haas overtook Alpine. Alpine was fifth. Haas has now overtaken them by 1 point, and Red Bull Visa Cash App is really close. So, Alpine, it's a really close fight for who's going to come sixth. That's just 10 to 20, that's around 10 to 20 million dollars of increased budget a team can have or lose depending on where they rank. um I didn't know Kick Sauber used Ferrari's engine. Anywho, yeah, Red Bull, they claim they're still in contention, but Sergio Perez only managed to get 1 point um in this race, which is not saying a lot. 1 point doesn't really help in the Constructors' Cup, but we'll take a win where we can. Other than that, Zhou Guan Yu came P13. Phenomenal drive by him. Colapinto made a statement saying, I don't care if it's Max Verstappen or Zhou Guan Yu, I'm going to pass whoever is in front of me. Obvi- Obviously, that was a dig. Oh, obviously, that was a dig at Zhou Guan Yu because he's been notoriously dead last. Um, but obviously that has been because of the car. And Zhou Guan Yu had the drive of his life in Vegas. He did phenomenal, especially considering how bad the Sauber is. He did phenomenal. P13 is no easy feat. And he overtook Colapinto and said, "You f you, Colapinto," and just drove by, which was amazing to see. Because I love Colapinto, but you don't do Joe that dirty. I mean, he had a phenomenal drive. I think he's showing now that if you give him a car that's competent, he can do pretty well. And he managed to get Sauber in 13 while Valtteri Bottas is in 18. Obviously, there was a lot of debris, anything could have happened, but I'm just happy that Joe is showing that he's not just the slowest driver. He's so much more than what he's been able to achieve in the last few races. Um, but yeah, the Leclerc and uh, science drama is going to take a big portion of this discussion now moving forward. Now, what has happened? If you do not watch the race, you're like, oh my god, I want to hear an input, I want to hear a different opinion. Um, Long story short, um, going into turn one on lap one, Leclerc managed to overtake Gasly and Sainz into P2, right? And then at some point, Sainz had overtaken him, and after some point, they were like switch positions, and Sainz did. However, Sainz wanted to pit earlier because Vegas is, I think, due to the low temperatures. It's 63, but low temperatures and extremely long straights. The tire degradation was insane. So usually the races are like one pit stop, sometimes two. This was a two pit stop race, and so Science wanted to pit earlier so he could have his second set of tires go on longer before he pitted again. But Fry was like, no, 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 no. And what had happened was they had him go into the pit lane after he had begged. And by the way, if they had followed his strategy, he could have come P2 with a chance at P1. P1 was a stretch. George Russell was just on fire. Mercedes was on fire. But he could have easily gotten P2 had they listened. But I digress. He went into the pit lane, and they're like, no, 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 we're not ready. Like, no, 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 get out, get out, get out. And he leaves. And Hamilton's like, oh my God, like, you can't do that. Luckily, or unluckily for some people, the FIA did not give him a penalty for that, which thank God. Thank God. Because Science has like two races left. You know, he deserves any podium that he should get any podium that he can fight for. And then he was ahead of Leclerc, and they were like, listen, so we're going to need you to swap positions. We're going to need you not to pressure Leclerc, not to overtake him. And Sainz was like, F you, I'm going to overtake it anyways. Because Ferrari, in their usually clownfoolery, made him get out of the pit lane because they weren't ready, so they pitted him a lap late. Then they're telling Leclerc that, oh no, Sainz is not going to pressure you, Sainz is not going to do this, and Sainz just overtakes him and by pressuring him an insane amount. And Leclerc is pissed off because of it. Sainz pissed off at Ferrari. It's a very messy situation. But obviously, people have claimed, I don't agree, that Leclerc could have had the pace to get P2 or to get P3. He could have, but Sainz being the brilliant tactician that he is, Sainz being the brilliant tactician that he is, he knew. So there was a point in the race, and it stayed like this for quite some time, where it was Sainz was P3, Verstappen was P4, and Leclerc was P5. And what Sainz managed to do, and they were telling him to create space between him and Max Verstappen so that Leclerc can overtake him easily. And then they would have had them switch positions. What Sainz did is he purposely kept Verstappen behind him for I think 10, 15 laps, like making it a really small gap where Leclerc could not overtake him because if he tried to, Sainz was there to cock block him, essentially. And Sainz brilliantly kept just the perfect amount of gap where Leclerc could not overtake. And near the end, he started picking up pace and then eventually Leclerc got in front of Verstappen. This was beautiful from Sainz because had he not done that, Ferrari would have instituted team orders and have them swap places. Again, granted, he would not have listened, but that would have given Verstappen the opportunity to then get P3 if those two were fighting. So Sainz played that brilliantly. I will find a screenshot of this and add this because we need to talk about this. But after the race, there was a Leclerc was obviously pissed off at Ferrari. He was pissed off at Sainz. I mean, as he should be, kind of. And he said maybe try telling him in Spanish. Which, first of all, Leclerc, listen, I am a fan, but I'm a Sainz defender. That was so messed up. He has 2 races left. He is working for a team that does not want him. He is kicked out of his dream car, his dream team for Ferrari. You are their golden boy, and you will be their golden boy unless Hamilton drags your ass and proves that he's better than you, which I think will happen. But he has 2 races left. He does not need to follow team orders. And again, granted, I'm just a YouTuber sitting here in my house and while you're racing. And yes, are you guys ever going to hear this? No. Is this ever going to be like an opinion piece or like you're going to be like, oh my god, like, you don't drive, you don't know. That's the thing. People can have opinions whether you like it or not. Anywho, I digress. That was messed up. Sainz was pissed off at Ferrari. Leclerc was pissed off at Ferrari. They're back to their usually kind of foolery. And luckily, neither driver made a big mistake because of it. Sainz brilliantly defended against Verstappen, keeping him right enough behind that Leclerc could not overtake both of them. And he got a podium, as he should. I'm hearing reports that maybe they're not going to be good in Qatar or Abu Dhabi. I hope that's not the case. But if it is, at least he can say, I got a win and a podium in my last 6 races with Ferrari. 2 podiums. And I'll take that. But we'll have to wait and see how Qatar goes. Usually warmer temperatures, well, high temperatures really favor McLaren and Ferrari, as it did in Austin and Mexico. But, we'll have to wait and see whether or not the car is there. But I'm hearing conflicted reports. In terms of why Mercedes is doing so good, I honestly think that's literally only because. So, as I'm saying, Mercedes, I think, probably went faster because the temperature was colder. And, Ferrari, McLaren, and other cars perform better when the weather's really warm and very, really hot. And even Mercedes is not particularly in a good development period this year. This cold weather really suited them really well. And allow them to extract from. I think now they realize what the mistake is, what the problem is with the car. The cold weather really just helps them do much better. So, hopefully going forward into 2025 and onwards, the car is in a better state to manage. But Alexander Albon DNF'd unfortunately. Pierre Gasly DNF'd due to an engine issue. So yeah, it was a good race, a lot of drama, and we'll just have to wait and see how Qatar plays out before we head into the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. That is my race breakdown debrief of the Vegas Grand Prix. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and share. And see you in the next one. Peace.